what's going on YouTube, and welcome to another League of Legends video. Today I'm going to do things a little bit differently and cover a list I've came up with, which is really easy to do and can significantly improve your League of Legends skill. They are 5 pretty generic tips, and I will be coming out with videos in the future which will go more in depth in each of these. Also going to be using a little bit of my stream footage just to show you guys what exactly I'm talking about and how to deal with it. But without further ado, let's hop right into the list. So I'm going to start with the hardest one for most people. It is don't tilt. It's definitely really hard to do, but it can go a very long way. If you're in the game getting pissed off more and more and more, you're just going to play worse and worse and worse. In this example here, we have an incredibly boosted Bard that would easily be able to run away, but instead turns around and gives a Vayne first blood. Not a good way to start the game off, and pretty tilting. Instead of completely losing your shit, try to keep your cool and just start farming. A lot of people out there will start spamming in all chat telling this Bard how boosted he is, but if he's somebody easily tilted, he's just going to start running it down mid and you're going to lose the game anyways. Instead, pretend it never happened, yes I know, easier said than done, and just move on with your game. In League of Legends, you have to play with the mindset that you have to carry the game. A lot of the time it will feel like your team really sucks, but focus on yourself and try to do whatever you can to win the game, don't worry about them. And by the way, this Bard forgot to even buy items, which is why he died so easily. Are you tilted yet? In this game, I did try to forget about what happened and just focus on farming, and although Vayne did start ahead, I still did pretty decent in the game and ended up getting a bunch of kills, but honestly, in the end, we did lose anyways. I did what I could, and if Bard just played a little bit more passively, we probably could have won this game, but regardless, at least I gave it a shot, and I almost got a win because of it. The next thing you'll want to do is pick a main role and stick with it. Stop playing every single role available. This one's definitely going to sound hypocritical because I play literally every champion and every role, but honestly I only do it because of the purposes of these guides. If I wanted to seriously climb, I would be picking one role and only playing that. When I achieved my highest rank, I was of course only playing one role, and I definitely notice a massive difference in my play now. If however you're unsure of what role you want to play, then you're going to need to find that out beforehand. Play each role multiple times and try a good variety of champions. If you're trying top lane, for example, go through the tanky champions, the carry champions, and the range champions. Make sure you give them all a really solid chance so you can find what you love and stick to it. Think about things like if you want to be in a 1v1, if you want a lane partner, or if you don't want to bother creep scoring. Once you've stuck with a single role for a while, you should see a massive difference in your gameplay. You're going to have a better understanding of what champion can be played in that role and how exactly they are played and what you can do to deal with them. Since you do have to technically select a second role as well, I would advise choosing one that's pretty similar to the one that is your main role. If you're mid or top lane, then take the vice versa. Some champions you can even play that do work well in each lane, something like a Swain or a Vladimir. Sure, some of these champions are sometimes way stronger in one of the other lanes, but if you have put a lot of time into that single champion, you should have a rather comfortable time in that lane phase. But anyways, this is something incredibly easy to do, and if you do it, you are setting yourself up for success. After you've been playing a role like jungle for a while, for example, you're going to know which lanes you're going to need to shut down because of how strong they are at certain points in the game. In this case, for example, I ganked Tryndamere over and over again because of how strong he is in the late game and how strong my Jax can be in the late game as well. Tryndamere's a lot harder to deal with when he's level 6, so I ganked him twice before level 6 and got some really easy kills. Another thing that you can do to set yourself up for success is picking some mechanically easy champions. Stuff like Annie, Pantheon, or in this case, Master Yi. Before I get right into this, I would like to say that you can carry yourself out of bronze and silver with any champion at all. People have played the dumbest champion in the dumbest roles and got to masters. If you are somewhat new to League of Legends though, or you just want to get out of bronze finally, then you would want to pick some easy champions. It will give you a much easier time. If you want to find a list of some easy champions, then you could go over to the League of Legends wiki. Now I definitely want to point out that this is definitely not 100% accurate because there's definitely easier AD carries than Varus and a lot easier top laners than Fiora, but for the most part it's pretty accurate. All you have to do is click the difficulty tab and then select something at 5 or less. As I said though, be careful when you're using a resource like this because it's not 100% accurate, but it's a good place to start. With all this being said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with playing a champion that takes a lot more skill. However, you're going to have to deal with the time you have to invest to get good with the champion in order to carry more often. If you're in bronze and you insist on playing Lee Sin jungle, you're going to have to deal with the time that it takes to get good with Lee Sin. He's a very hard champion to master, and until you're good with his kit and landing skill shots, you're not really going to be able to climb out of bronze too easily. It's much easier to just play Master Yi like in this gameplay here, hit R and right click some people, and use your Q every so often. But let's look at a couple easy champions and discuss why exactly they're easy and why you'd want to play them in solo queue. So in the top lane, I've listed Malphite. Malphite's a champion that can build full armor and still do a ton of damage because of his W. He's not going to take very much damage in the top lane, so winning trades are going to be pretty easy for you. The only thing you really have to worry about on the champion is landing your ultimate on some squishy targets. Other than that, he's a really easy champion. For the AD carry, I've got Misfortune. She's a champion that does a ton of early game damage, and she can bully a lot of the AD carries out there. In a team fight, all you have to do is find a decent position and hit your R key. As long as you're hitting multiple enemies in your ultimate, you've had a pretty successful team fight. For the support champion, I've got Soraka. Soraka's a champion that doesn't want to be too aggressive, and you pretty much just hang around and heal your AD carry whenever they get hit. The two things you'll have to worry about on Soraka is landing your Q ability to keep your health high and hitting your ultimate, which will require some map awareness. For mid lane, I of course have Annie. She's incredibly easy to last hit on because you can spam your Q ability on minions and easily last hit them and keep your mana really high. Most mid laners are very skill shot reliant, and although Annie does have some skill shots, she's nowhere near as skill shot reliant as your average mid laner. As long as you can get your stun up and hit your R key, you should be fine. Then last for the jungle, of course, Master Yi. All you really have to do as Master Yi is farm up until you have a bunch of items, hit your R key, right click, and watch you get a penta. The one main difference between bad and good Master Yis is using your Q ability to dodge multiple skill shots. The next thing you're going to want to do is build yourself a nice champion pool. Since I've been playing a lot of Nocturne lately, I've added Pantheon because they do have pretty similar ultimates. You could always one-trick a champion as well, but I think it's a lot more effective to actually have a decent champion pool. Now, when I say decent, I mean having a couple good champions you play in a lane, not having a very big amount of them. If your champion pool is too big and diverse, you're definitely going to lose some skill on some of your champions. What I like to do here is select my main champion, then choose a champion that's somewhat similar, and then something completely different that's great in a different situation. So for me personally, I started with Nocturne. People that watch my stream definitely know that I like to play Nocturne, and I'm pretty solid on him as well because I do have over a 70% win rate. I then decided to add Pantheon jungle because he is somewhat similar. His ultimate acts in a pretty similar way, and he goes for a high attack damage build and tries to get on the backline and delete a squishy target just like Nocturne. Then you'd kind of have to think, well, since I have two AD champions that like to dive into the backline, in case I don't have any tanks on my team, I should add something tanky and hopefully AP based. So in this scenario, I would consider a Mumu since he is popular in the meta right now and he's a very strong champion. By having a champion pool like this, you're going to be able to choose a champion based on your team comp and make it a lot more effective. If I only played Nocturne, there's a chance that I'd run into a very big issue where my team went all AD and very squishy champions and we just kind of lost in the late game. For you, take your main champion, think of something pretty similar that will go great with your playstyle, and then something else that would be great in different team comps. If you were, say, a Fiora top lane, think about another mobile top laner like Jax, for example, and then something really different, like Swain to have some AP, or something really tanky, like a Nautilus. Alright, let's move on to the fifth thing that can really influence your game, map awareness. Warding properly, looking at your minimap, and all that good stuff. The first thing that goes into map awareness is actually looking at your damn minimap. In this scenario, I just got back to top lane, but I noticed that my jungler is getting invaded. Instead of being boosted and just letting him die, I instead look at my minimap, roam down, and get a free kill. Picking up this kill gets me nicely into the game because I am against a Malphite, which is pretty annoying to deal with for any top laner. By simply looking at my minimap again, I'm able to see that Malphite is teleporting to the bot lane, and he is planning to teleport gank. I can instantly tell that if I teleport as well, we'll definitely have the advantage, so I also start my teleport. Once I'm there, me and the rest of my teammates win the fight pretty easily, and Malphite's teleport ends up doing nothing at all. Malphite then even decides to be incredibly greedy, stays, and ends up dying for it. The end result is a very clean teamfight without anybody dying and a massive swing in our direction. The game was definitely going in their favor, but we swing this into an extra tower as well and get a really nice chunk of gold. All of this came from looking at the minimap, counter TPing, and having a really solid teamfight. Another big part of map awareness is actually having wards so you can see stuff when you look at your minimap. In this scenario, since I do have Baron and I'm relatively strong and nobody can really 1v1 me at this point in the game, I ward the enemy's bush so I know I'm safe when I split push in that top lane. Getting some deep wards is a very important thing to do when you're in the top lane split pushing, because in the lower elos, sometimes people will just send an entire team even though that's something they shouldn't necessarily do. Still, it happens, and pretty often, so make sure you're ready for it. As I'm split pushing by checking my minimap, I also notice that my team is going to be in a team fight, so I make sure I get there with my teleport. Once I'm there, I try to help my team as much as possible, and the team fight becomes rather even because of it. After this fight, I end up shoving it down the mid lane and win the game because of my map awareness, the fact that I'm Jax in a late game, and some decent team fights. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much all I've really got to say in this video. In conclusion, you'll first want to stop tilting, you'll want to pick a main role and some easy champions to go along with that role, build yourself a strong champion pool, and focus on map awareness. Just these few things are so incredibly easy to do, and they can really affect your gameplay. If you can do just even a couple, there's absolutely no reason you shouldn't be able to get out of bronze. As I said, this is kind of just meant as a general overview on how to improve. I'll make much more in-depth guides on how to actually improve later on. But with that said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and if you guys did, please like and subscribe, and also check out my Twitch stream. I stream pretty much every night at 7 PM Eastern. But yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy, peace.